level, or even a community-to-community level. While other AI scenes from around the world have been driven by formal relations with universities and have been driven by big tech, the African continent has been driven by communities. And so the goal of this panel is to both celebrate and learn more about those communities and discuss ways which we can support each other better, but also discuss ways in which we can get involved, which we can start our own communities, which can further what we're working on. And so I'd like to, format of this panel is going to be really fun. I'm going to spend the first half of it with 4 wonderful panelists from 4 different communities. And because we have so many great panelists and so many great communities from the African continent, we're going to have it, the second half will be a completely different set of communities which you get to talk to. So hopefully you get a really diverse view of people who are joining. So I'd like to invite my first set of panelists onto the stage and we can have a chat. You are one of them. Great. So, how are you guys doing today? You check your mics are working. Sound test. Testing 1, 2. Don't tap the mic.
Testing 1, 2.
Yeah, testing 1, 2. It's one of those things. Apparently, you're never meant to tap a mic.
Testing 1, 2.
Cool. Cool, 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 cool.
Echo.
We're good. Excellent. David, you good? No. No.
Echo.
What about now? Okay.
Oh, there we go. We got you. Loud and clear. How's the sound back there? People who are far away. People who are close. Great. Good, 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 good. Cool. So my name's Jade. I have much of my life to owe to the deep learning Indaba, as I think many of us do here. In addition to that, I have much to owe to the many communities that have sprung from the Indaba, who were there before the Indaba, who've been around the Indaba. And so the group that I've got on stage today, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and give a little bit of background on the community they're here for. So what's the name of the community? What community give us some background on what they're doing, and one tip on how you can get involved. And then we'll switch over into kind of a discussion. I'm very informal. I had a whole plan and I've abandoned it, so this should be quite fun. And so I'm going to start with Idris, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, thank you for giving me the floor. I'm Idris Tonji. I'm teaching assistant at the African Masters in Machine Intelligence program, fully funded by Google and Meta, hosted at the African Institute for Mathematical Science in Senegal. Today I'm representing the Roya community. Roya is a very young community because just created last year. So, okay, Roya is an Arabic word that means vision. Vision to indicate our focus, our community focus on the computer vision dataset, method and application that impact the African communities. Our community focus is on a big umbrella of multiple computer vision applications, including medical image processing, remote sensing, traffic monitoring, wildlife monitoring, climate change, AFNS, and others. We meant to solve real-world problems that are happening in developing countries, especially the African continent. Instead of the current computer vision research that is focused on developed countries and the big tech company goals. As success stories so far, we organized a social event at the CVPA 2023 conference held in Vancouver, in Canada, 2 months ago, which was the first member-led social. And you were able to help to connect African students to go to such a big conference. That is one of our success. Also, our first paper has been accepted last week at the ACM conference, if you know about it.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Good job, round of applause.
Thank you, yes. Thank you for our members. I can see them in the room. our papers has been accepted as oral presentation to be specific, yes. To be in, you are going to present then next month in Boston in US. Okay. Again, you organize a challenge on the most benchmark data set representing inequity and unfairness with the collaboration of their institute. Thank you for our sponsor. And finally, you have our Computer Vision for Africa workshop coming soon on Saturday. You are all invited if you want to know more about our community. Also, as activities, you have a weekly meeting happening on every Sunday, where you have a reading group, you have a research group also, at 3 p.m. every Sunday. If you're interested in joining us, you can join our Slack channel from our website. I think that's all for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Idris.
Hello there. My name is Chris Faree. I have a medical degree and a master's in computer science. Yeah?
Move the mic closer and speak up.
Is that better?
That's
there we
better.
go. Hi there. So, hi, I'm
Eat the mic.
Eat the mic. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Chris Faree. I have a medical degree and a master's in computer science. I'm from South Africa. I'm recently working for the Western Cape Provincial Health Data Center. I am here today representing the Sisonke biotic community. So Sisonke in isiZulu meaning together, and biotic being a fun play on words, being either biotech like biotechnology or biotic like life. So yeah, our community got its start about 2.5 years ago. I think that, I mean, initially, my first deep learning Indaba was the Indaba in Kenya, and I presented a poster there on a grassroots community in healthcare, so that's kind of where the first inkling of that got started. And the community itself is focused on healthcare and AI, or data science, machine learning, AI for healthcare in Africa. Our goal really is just to try and make research and participation in healthcare or AI for healthcare in Africa as accessible as possible. So yeah, some of the successes that we've had so far, we've run 3 workshops for data science and healthcare. We're running our 4th one on Friday. We've had at least 4 publications, and we've run a number of seminars. We also, what else do we do? We have a weekly meeting, so for those of you who would like to, get more involved in AI and healthcare in Africa, you can join us any Thursday at 6 o'clock Central African time. Sometimes we meet for half an hour, sometimes for an hour. Sometimes the meetings are fairly large, sometimes they're fairly small, depending on what's going on in the communities. Yeah.
Cool.
What else can I tell you? We have some interesting projects on at the moment. We've been working on like a bibliometric study for African researcher contributions to AI in healthcare. We're also launching a fun project at our workshop on Friday to do with benchmarking large language models on African medical school exam questions. So if that's something you're interested in, keep an eye out for that. We'll also be doing an African NLP for healthcare seminar series in the following months. What else would you like to know?
We'll get back to that. All good.
Okay. Cool.
Salome. Clap up.
Hi, my name is Salome Osei. I'm a PhD student at the University of Dosto, and I am here representing the Masakani group. Masakani is a group of researchers with NLP background. Our focus is to put the African languages on the map of NLP. and we've been working with so many different languages from across Africa. I'd like to use this opportunity to ask everyone to join the group. We have Slack channels. We also have a website. You can just Google Masakane, and then you can follow to join the group. Our success stories have been so immense and tremendous. We've had publications in the ICLR, EMNLP, so most of the top conferences in NLP, we have publications there. I also recommend that you read most of our papers that you can find on our website. If you want to join the team, also on our website, we have the Slack channels you can join. Jade, did I forget anything?
It's all good, all good.
Okay, so thank you.
Great. Thanks, Salome. Salome, she might be representing Masakane, but she's also Will DS. She's also Black in AI. She's also Kana NLP. One of these people who's obsessed with communities. And lastly, David.
All right. Okay, my name is David Akanji, and also I study math and statistics at BSc, and also have masters in financial engineering. So I'm representing Data Scientist Network here. I work as a data scientist for DSN and also manage learning and delivery for DSN community, and also for all the 12 African countries that we have expanded to, and we're also making impact of expanding more to other African countries to create footprint of AI and democratize knowledge of AI across all Africa. Our vision at DSN is to raise 1 million AI talent, and also to build AI solutions that can enhance the quality of life of 2 billion people in emerging markets. And the one way we can always do this is to ensure that we create a social economic around all the people who are going to create all this impact that we have as a vision. And one of the things we have been doing, we segment learning and also our objectives of achieving our vision to ensure that we are able to actualize them. So we create a segment of learning that target different stratas of people who are beginners, who doesn't have knowledge of AI. We create a learning opportunity for them so that they can be brought up into the AI ecosystem using different approaches. Our learning delivery to ensure that we get learners across Africa country, about 12 African countries, like we have presence now, is that we have a program that we normally run annually, which is AI in every city, which is like AI in fish, just like you are running a crusade of AI, so which is we go to local communities with partners, we have a lot of partner hubs across the globe who help us to accommodate all these learners that we've selected across the cities to be able to come to their hub physically and be impacted with a lot of existing mentors who have the domain knowledge of AI. So we have been doing this, and one of the things that we have used to ensure that these people that we are training are immersed in the learning and also from beginner to intermediate is that we create learning journey, which is one of the things that we do annually, which is our AI, International AI Bootcamp, which is bring best of the best people so that after you have learned cumulatively from being part of the free AI in every city, you can be able to qualify to be in our International AI Bootcamp, which is always sponsored. So we finished this year edition about a month ago. And also, we also create a structure of learning for people who are in the university to ensure that they are at the cutting edge of AI and knowledge of AI and have access to mentorship and also have opportunity to ensure that finances or anything doesn't cut them short of getting this knowledge. So we create a partnership approach to ensure that we have access to opportunity from someone like NVIDIA, Microsoft, which make Google and like of them to ensure that they make facilities and equipment available for all our students in the campuses, like Azure Credit and all, so that they can practice anything they are practicing, they can be able to execute it. And apart from that, we also have people that are not in the institution. We create a community for them, which we call a city community. So DSN city community are people who are outside the school, but they actually need needs as well. They want to get job, they want to be very good in research, writing, and all. So we use this approach of city community to ensure that we bring them into the ecosystem. So we get them the mentors, we assign them to a lot of people who can assist them in that approach. And one of the things we normally do for our community is that they meet by week, by 2 times in a month, in the either Saturday or Sunday, so that they share experience, they share learning together. And one of the things that DSN has been doing that has sustained us for the last 7 years that we have been running the community is that we have a dedicated staff who actually manage all of these guys every week to see what they can do to them, to support the learning, to support their growth, and which is one of the things that has kept us having a high number of community impact. Our community is not just about learning alone. We create a value chain in a way that they can be able to build solutions to showcase their skill. In the last Indaba, we also have a high number of our participants coming, a number of Indaba participants coming from Nigeria. Currently now, in this current Indaba, we have over close to 100 people of our community that are here presently who are showcasing their poster presentation. You can see them. They are doing a lot of amazing stuff, and this has been impact that we are creating. We bring people from learning, then to be able to create a solution that can actually impact the lives of people. So this value chain is one of the things that we are looking at DSN to ensure that the people that we are trained, we are raising as a 1 million year talent should be able to create a solution that supports the life of 2 billion people and also be able to create value chain for their home country. So in terms of what we have achieved in DSN, we've won a lot of awards like global award in terms of our research paper has been cited over 10,000 times on academia, and we also won the 2 global awards recently, Grand Challenge from Bill Gates recently. Among about 300 applications, we submit a proposal, and so far our product was accepted globally, which we put Nigeria at the footprint of the global record. And also, our product has been consecutively been rated as top global AI product from UNESCO award. So we have a lot of awards, we have a lot of things, and I will recommend everyone on this platform to also check our annual report where we detail some of our achievements. So we are also working on expanding the community. So if you want to know more about our community, you can also meet me at our stand. Thank you.
Round of applause. I always say it's astounding when you get communities to just start talking about their achievements, because it's just like this endless list of just stuff. Everyone's doing such amazing work, and it's quite wonderful because like all of this is volunteer, right? All of us. So I chose a specific group in this specific order because there's a tale that we can tell of a journey of a very new community to one that's been, around for a while. And so, I thought I might start with Roya. When did you guys begin?
When did us?
Yeah, when did you start? When did you come together and start?
You started last year. I don't remember the period. It was around.
I think it was after the Indaba, or just after the Indaba.
It was around June last year.
Yeah.
Yes. You had the idea you have been inspired by the Masakani community because they are focused on natural NLP. So, okay, you thought that maybe why not create another community with main focus on computer vision. That's why you met together and you start discussing and you create. With the help of, you have our leaders, which is Assam professor in Canada, Ontario Tech University, but unfortunately she's not here, but she'll be arriving next Friday. If you want to meet her, you can meet her during our workshop. With her help, you are able to create our community and start some activities. So, yes.
Okay, cool. And so in starting this, you've really seen it come from, what were the beginning things that you did? So for someone who might want to start a community, what were the first steps that you took as a community to get going?
You mean at the beginning, the first thing that you started with, you mean? I would say that, okay, first of all, at the beginning, you have tried you started by the region group because you thought that maybe some people are not aware about some maybe new architecture or state of the art in the field, like computer vision. You started a region group where you start presenting some papers explaining some techniques, some method, the basic thing on computer vision, so that you can have people learn from the basic things till they had topic in the field. So that's how you started. So that's what I can say.
Yeah, and I think that's like a really good point, is having this regular meeting, whatever it might take. And I think a reading group is such a good form of that. Yeah, does anyone, so maybe Chris, because they were the next, how old are Sasonke now?
Sure, we're about 2.5 years old, I think. And just to comment on that regular meeting, I quite like to describe it as like the regular drumbeat to the community that sort of anchors the activities. So, you know, I think in all communities, the participation tends to wax and wane, and for the community leaders, it can be quite distressing when your meetings start to dwindle. But I would say, you know, don't worry, just keep that drumbeat going, and then the activity tends to pick up. So we got started as, I'm going to say, like a branching off of the Masakane model. We saw there a success, and we said, cool, how can we do this for healthcare and AI? And we really started with a very small group of, say, I don't know, like 3 to 6 people, again, meeting regularly. And those first discussions were about, you know, what is our purpose? What is the scope? What are our values that we want to, like, hold ourselves to? And luckily, like, Masakane had done a lot of the groundwork there, so we really did just, like, fork their Git repo and said we want a lot of the same things.
Can I, yeah.
So yeah.
Can I ask a question? Just knowing what you guys have done, the question I actually wanted to direct to you was about funding, because I know you've had quite a bit of experience in, you know, getting funding for the communities, and I think as people who are working communities, that can be quite something that's tough. So what are your thoughts on how do you get funding as a community? How important is it? Is it important? Where does it start?
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, I'll say with funding, it really is about relationships and the relationships that you're able to form within the community and the people that you're able to bring into the community who can, you know, help you branch out to like funding organizations. So what I've definitely found is having like a workshop, you know, something solid that you can take to a funder and say, look, we're doing something, we can put your name up, is a great touch point to center a funding conversation around. So we've gotten the majority of our funding from workshops. Otherwise, you know, writing grants for a project. So one of the things, at least for the grant writing process, that I would recommend is reaching out to the more senior researchers in your community to get help on this, because that kind of guidance, I think, is good for learning, but also it really helps you know, decrease the amount of overhead and you know, that you might need to do this, because again, this is all volunteer work. So we're trying to do this in our spare time while trying to keep our day jobs, and anything to make those processes easier and more fluid, I think, is important.
Thank you. Yeah. I think, yeah, that's super helpful. I think it's the sort of thing, it's great to have all the communities actually in the room thinking about these things, because it really affects, it become, as the work grows, it requires a lot more time, and so having that funding available for, you know, whether it be working on projects or whether it be actually traveling is really important. So anyway, so I think Masakane, we started it in 2017? 2018?
Yes, at the Indaba.
Yes, at the Indaba. And we've, you know, been through quite a journey. What would you say, you know, is your, you know, really created that sense of belonging in Masakane?
So for Masakane, I believe that we've been a collaborative effort. So we don't have necessarily people defining or going through structures or climbing the ladder to take permissions from somebody before building or doing what they want to do. So anybody can at any time just message on Slack and say, hey, I'm working on this project, who wants to join me? And then everybody sort of joins the work, and then it just kickstarts. About the fact of what Chris was talking about in terms of funding. So once these projects are said on the Slack channels, which I have actually joined some of the projects, then sometimes we write proposals, and sometimes too, like I said, people who want to do the work of NLP and are so enthusiastic about it and want to put their languages on the map of NLP. So even without the funding, we keep going, and then we create that sort of work. So we don't have that. I mean, we have leadership, but we do not make people go through a lot to join our projects.
Yeah, I think that lack of structure, I would say it was by design, but I think it was also just chaos that happens to work because of that ownership. I think it's always been a wonder to like step back from Masakane and see that it just functions because there are enough people who care. So yeah, David. So when was DSN formed? Because I feel like I don't even know how long ago that was. You got to tap the mic.
Okay, so DSN started in 2017, November 26. So by November this year, we are going to be 7 years.
Nice, congrats. Yeah. Actually, congrats to the whole team for starting this and lasted as long as God.
Yeah.
And so my question for you is really around this sustainability. You know, DSN has grown and morphed, and you know, it's added so many things. As an organization, how do you ensure that? How do you ensure that people aren't getting burnt out? What did you have to put in place to ensure that DSN really functioned? What is your secret?
Okay, all right. I think we like to set some things. Like there are two things that are very clear in setting up community. You need to identify the problem you want to solve, and then from the problem you want to solve, you need to create a clear vision. And the clear vision can not only be, you need to set a time frame that you want to achieve all those visions. So to let you be aware that you are on track or you are already derailing. So one of the things that DSN have done is that they have a vision of raising 1 million AI talent in 10 years. And they have a target, they have the KPI of each of those things. And another thing they've done is all the community we are building. What are the different segments of people that we are actually looking forward to be among our 1 million AI talent that we are raising? So now, as I've said earlier on, we have beginners, we have people who are professionals, and we also have people who are startup developers. We also have people who are AI executives, people who are like they are not actually like professional general, but they are executive, C-level executive, government policy, people who are making policy. So we have a dedicated training that tailors to them, so that when people who we are training as a beginner, or after they become intermediate or they are into industry, they want to deploy a solution, they will not derail, or like they will be easily be able to understood what our data scientists are talking about. You understand? When you come into the organization and say, okay, let's do this, let's do that, there are some people that will say, okay, no, you cannot accommodate this. But we have a dedicated training that exposes all the C-level, the government officials to understand that what these guys are doing are okay, based on their knowledge. So one thing that we have done that have made us more successful in the managing community, because community is now over 500,000. And one thing that our management are always put in place is that let's create a community that can actually function on their own. Let them understand anything they want to do. They must as well understand the vision and also be able to cascade the understanding to anything they are doing. If you look at some of the research our community are doing, you need to write a research that understand that that is about problem. You need to identify a problem, and your research paper should be able to be turned into a product that can actually solve a problem. You shouldn't just do something that, okay, I'm just writing a research paper and an article. It should be something that you can productize that can actually create value for you. And in terms of people who are looking for a job, you shouldn't just be in a community doing something deviated to you. We create a learning track that gets you job. And one of the things that can get you job is that you need to have a project that you are showcasing. So we give them a tailored project showcase at every interval, like bi-monthly. Like now we run, when we normally use a live data that are being used in industry practice data. Like now we recently did economic data where people look at how people are, a data that's very large, and it's more about around how people, perception of people about tax payment in Nigeria. Is a data of Nigeria Economic Summit, which is one of the biggest data in Nigeria for decision making. And last, so we normally run them through different projects. So whenever they go into industry, they're already exposed to it, and they already have a portfolio to even be suitable to get a job. So all this understanding, that's what has been a pace setter for the people that are coming to community. They understood that, okay, these things that have been done by the elders. So as a newcomer, you need to follow that channel. So it reduced the level of work that we have to do as internal team of DSN. So since the community already understood the path they need to follow, and one of the things we also do to support the community is partnership from DSN, being able to have a secure partnership who understand the value of community, be able to provide support for our community. So that will actually make our community grow, because they sell a tree cannot make a forest. So also, like coming to Indaba, creating a community among community like this has actually exposed, be part of what motivates our community as well. Like when you are writing a research paper, do you focus on presenting it in Indaba? What are the qualities that Indaba is looking for? So they all have understanding of all the things that are necessary about what they are doing. So creating a target vision for we as an organization also cascaded to all the community level that we have. So and that has really been also an helping us to streamline any unnecessary thing that can delay our progress. So thank you for that.
Thank you, David. I mean, what you're highlighting is that you've got great communication of vision. You've highlighted that this idea of having timelines and deadlines clearly communicated, as well as what seems to be these growth paths almost, that people can move to learn, they know where to engage, and it seems like there's a space for everyone, whoever they might be coming in, and I think that's really, really key, and I think, you know, seeing a lot of the communities and knowing where to start, but also knowing where you're going is so fantastic, and it's so fantastic to see that in a mature community. So I wanted to give everyone another final remark, but it seems we're already over time, and I have to give the second round of panelists their star. So a big round of applause to our first set of communities. I want to encourage everyone to go to their booths. I think a lot of you are part of them. I know they're all, I think all of you are running workshops actually on different days. So please go visit their workshops and have a chat to them. And yeah, while they gracefully leave the stage and the next group gracefully joins us on the stage, I think it's time for another quick stand up and stretch. People are looking at me like they hate me. Some people are looking at me like they know they need this. This is great. And then at the end, I'll leave 10 minutes for questions. And it'll be great to, if you have them in mind, just know who you'd like to direct them to. I'd like to ask the previous panelists to not leave, because I want to, they'll also be around for those questions in case someone wants to ask something. Okay, great. So initial protocol is the same. So if you'd introduce yourself, a brief couple of sentences about your community and how people from the Indaba can get involved. Does everyone want to test their mics? There we go. Great.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So my name is John Baglico. I'm a PhD student at the University of Rwanda, still in my first year. So AI Ghana is a community really focused on promoting the use of artificial intelligence in solving like real problems in Ghana and beyond. So we started somewhere ending of 2019, and we've been consistently running up to date. And key of our activities is the monthly meetups, which we run in collaboration with the Kofi Annan ICT Center. So we believe in collaboration, basically. And so most of our events are run in partnership with other communities in Ghana, and even sometimes people who are not based in Ghana. But the vision is one, to promote the use of AI. One of our major achievements is the Umoja hack. It is the biggest inter-university machine learning hackathon that happened in Ghana in 2020. We did this with the support from Zindi, and it was funded by Google. Recently, I think last year, we also sponsored the Indaba X Ghana with some amount, and also we partnered to help in a lot of ways. So basically, we believe in collaboration. As AI Ghana, we support communities. We've been core believers in the Indaba events that run, and we are open to support in any way that we can, which is why we have found ourselves here.
Yes.
Right? So basically, that's AI Ghana. If you want to get involved, you can go to our website, aighana.org, and you can send us a message because we have a form, and we will get in touch with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you guys were the first people to reach out and be like, hey, we want to be involved. We've got volunteers. What do you guys need to get help? And so the Indaba really appreciates your willingness to come join. Next up.
Hi.
Does everyone want to test their mics?
Hi.
Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Khadija Idrisu and I'm currently a PhD student at the Dublin City University, and today I'll be talking about Women DS as I am one of the co-organizers of this organization. So the Women DS is a global organization that is focused on promoting and supporting people that are interested in machine learning, and mainly gender minorities and women specifically. So the Women DS Accra chapter actually started after interactions as an Indaba in 2019, where two of our co-organizers actually got to hear about Women DS for the first time in Kenya, and afterwards they decided to create the Accra chapter. So since our creation, we've been having monthly meetups where we have practical sessions, and we also have sessions where people who are already in the tech space can get the opportunity to share their journey to beginners and the women and young people that are trying to get into the space. We also have Twitter space discussions on trending topics that we believe that the community would be willing to hear and learn more about. And I would say that our recent most success story is the Women DS panel discussion that happened on Monday. And that was basically about discussing opportunities for underrepresented groups in tech, which we got funding to actually pursue those projects by the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change and also the OpenAI as well. So we are actually a very small community and we are expanding. And if you would really like to join us, then you can follow us on Twitter as Women DS Accra. You can follow us on LinkedIn. And you can also join our meetup page where you can see the previous events that you've had. Thank you.
Okay, it's working. Hello everyone, so I'm a little bit of an outlier. So I'm Razvan Pashkanu, I'm a research scientist at DeepMind. And the community I'm representing is EML. So this is a community for Eastern Europe that started around the same time of Indaba. So maybe it's nice comparing notes and sort of differences between these spaces. So yeah, we've been organizing summer schools and every year, and also workshops. And I actually met at least one Indaba participant that was at EML before, which was nice to see. And I'm also representing AI Romania. So that's a second community that we have that's specifically for Romania, that maybe has a bit more in common with some of the communities we've heard, focusing in like NLP for Romanian language and trying to get AI in high school. And so we build like a course for high school that we're now trying to roll out for kids to start learning ML from a young age. And I'll stop with that.
Welcome to Africa.
Thank you.
Great. And last but not least, Rose.
Hi everyone, my name is Rose Delilah Gesicho. I'm based in Kenya and I'm representing Zindi. As many of you might have heard throughout the conference, Zindi is the largest data science platform in Africa, where we host African data sets for African data scientists to use it to create solutions here in Africa. We have over 60,000 plus data scientists on the platform, and now I talk about our community where we have amazing ambassadors, and I'm actually happy John is part of the panel. He was one of our ambassadors, and he has done amazing work in Ghana, has always been our connection, and one of our success stories is this, where we have amazing ambassadors, over 200 across Africa, where we are trying to reach to 30 plus countries. I think we're in 25 now. But we have been able to create a lot of impact by doing events. Like we have a number of like 30 plus events within a month where our ambassadors are trying to share how do you get started with data science within their communities, trying to reach out to those indigenous places or rural areas where they don't know about data science and equipping them with the skills. And that's been one of our most amazing success stories, our ambassadors, and Umoja Hack, also Africa, that was mentioned, which is the largest hackathon that we host annually. It has been an amazing experience since we started in 2018, still growing the community, and you can reach us through our stand. I can add it to our WhatsApp group. We are reaching like 1,000 in our WhatsApp group, but we are hoping to have a better platform to host our community and everyone in it. Thank you.
Cool, great. Thank you, Rose. Cool. Bigger round of applause for all the communities we've got on stage right now. Thank you. Cool, John. So I think I'm quite interested. So, we've had, as I say, there are so many communities. And part of what I prefaced this conversation was about, it's not just about communities, not just about individual to individual, but also about community to community. How do you think we can be better supporting each other as the different communities on the African continent?
Yeah, David mentioned one point which I thought was great. He said, one tree does not make a forest, which is why AI Ghana believes in collaboration. So when we heard Indaba was coming to Ghana, I think we reached out and said we are available because we are a large community, and we have people who are willing to volunteer in any way. Talk about putting the posters, setting up the conference rooms and all. We believe that it is the only way we can do something great if we come together as communities. So how we can really solve problems in Africa is really if we come together, the smaller communities working with the bigger ones like Indaba, Masakani, and so on. That's when we can really pick specific problems and work together to solve them. So basically, I think collaboration is the key.
Is there anything you think in particular, like if you had to be this is the best next step our communities could take? And maybe I'll direct this one at Khadija, so be like, what is the next best step our communities can take to work better together?
Okay. So I think that the key is to try to identify what exactly you want for your community, and also try to find other communities that have the same goals that align with yours as well. That way it's just very easy to collaborate. So for instance, last year I had the opportunity to speak with at the African Women in AI, organized by the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. And afterwards, I had made a very strong network there, and that was how we got them to fund the Women DS social that we had on Monday. So you really need to look out for other communities, watch their spaces for what they are doing, try to collaborate with them, and just find that point where the two of you aligns, or two or more of you align, and then you can leverage on that to do greater things for the whole Africa.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. It's just more of this finding alignment. As a group, we have a bigger voice. We can ask for more. We can legitimize each other in ways, where the rest of the world might delegitimize us. And so I think that's quite fantastic. Razvan, you come from another continent. You come from a very similar style event. I'm not sure how long or when you landed, but what have you learned from working with the deep learning Indaba throughout the years? What have you learned, and what would you like to teach us?
Right, that's a very good question. So yeah, like EML started around the same time, and we've been supporting each other. I remember talking to Ulrich and Shakir quite a bit. We're all at DeepMind, and definitely being multiple of us at the same time helped a lot to sort of figure out exactly how we want to do things. And what I've learned from Indaba, I've always found Indaba to be very bold, particularly in terms of scale. So I think, they really went, so when Ulrich, Shakir, and Avishkar and the others started it, they really went for it. We took a slightly different approach that we think works better for our space. So our school, for example, tends not to be more than 200 people and sort of single track and all this kind of stuff. But we definitely, I think sort of this boldness of just going for it was quite helpful. Yeah, and then I think we kind of started sharing things, like, for example, we started doing workshops partially inspired by Indaba X. The Ideathron was inspired by us. So there's kind of like an exchange of ideas of like how to better organize the school to be successful.
That's great. Yeah, I think what I'm really looking forward to in future is that we can, some of us attending EEML, having Kipu involved, just have like more mixing, because I think that's the best way to share.
So for us, this is actually quite important. And at EML, we usually have around just 50% of people from Eastern Europe, and the rest of 50% are from the rest of the world. And we typically try to reserve, we have limited budget, so it ends up being something like 5-6 travel grants from people coming from far away. It doesn't always work out, mostly because of visas. So for example, this year we had quite a few applicants that we accepted from Africa, but almost none of them got visas, so none of them could come. But we try to get people from places like Bangladesh. We had people from Philippines, from Peru, and so forth. Because the concept to us, it's kind of what's been said so far. It's about collaborations, and also not, at least in Eastern Europe, there's this obsession of asymmetric collaborations where people are thinking like, oh, we need to work with Oxford, or we need to work with Mila. Those collaborations never work. You need a lot more symmetric collaborations, and we're trying to encourage those kind of more symmetric collaborations as well between like Eastern European countries or between other countries that are in sort of similar circumstances, at least in terms of research output and capabilities.
Symmetric collaborations. Does anyone have any other thoughts on this? I think that's such a great, looking to the rest of the panel. Rose is almost there.
I can talk about something that we were talking with AI Saturday yesterday. We were thinking about where we could collaborate in terms of benchmarking what other communities are doing across Africa. That is, they mentioned they are doing amazing things upon research and how they engage their community. And we were like, oh wow, I wish we could have engaged this in our community so that we can be able to see such amazing results. So I think we should avoid working in silos as data communities and just come together and be able to see what works in different communities, or how we can be able to adopt some of the techniques that are currently working and see how we can bring all the data scientists together in one and in unison so that we build a better Africa. And yeah, I think that's one takeaway point that I had for the collaborative aspect.
Yeah, and I think I'm quite interested in Zindi as a community, because you started off as a data science platform. It was very distributed. I think it was a lot of people working from home by themselves. How have you seen that evolve into something that's more community-based and shared? What has been like the switch, and how are you seeing the community emerge?
Okay, so Zindi is still a platform on its own where we run competitions, but the aspect of community came about because we want to crowdsource solutions and to bring people, because we believe in diversity, we believe people have different ideas, and having those teams, forming those teams, discussion boards on our platform, we're able to see like different people come with different opinions on a matter or different strategies to solving a solution, and that is what is most important. So I don't think it would succeed as much without a community, because we need to take ideas from everyone who is contributing and see how we can be able to build a much better product or just a much better solution. So yeah, I think, so that's the main point of why we dive into the community aspect.
Okay, great. Okay, so once again, I will do, I was going to do last comments, but instead, due to lack of time, we'll do a wonderful round of applause. So thank you very much to our panelists. Don't get off just yet. I'd also like to once again to say, don't lose the previous panelists. I'm trying to see where you all are. I'd like to see who has a question. Can anyone run with a microphone? And please say which person you'd like to direct the question to. I see Maria's got one up there. Thank you for being the runner.
Thank you. Hello, Maria from South Africa, and I want to ask about the dark side of things and to all panelists, but there might only be a few who actually have a story to share. We all love democracy, we all love inclusion, we all preach it, but there's a moment where you have to defend your culture against toxic elements coming in, especially if you grow and if you've got something to give or something to share that people want. Did you ever have a conflict happening where you had to exclude, or we had to put down your foot, where you had to play the dictator, or are we still in happy clappy land in this in this world, which will be lovely, but we might have to like prepare a bit for this anyways.
I mean, I got a good answer, but let me put it to the panel or anyone else. They've got a drama. Do you have one? There we go.
Okay. I must say that for AI Ghana, when we started, basically I'm a person who doesn't really document stuff, like write things down before I do them. I'm like an ideas machine. Like I get ideas, but I never write them down. Yeah. My co-founder has been really helpful. Deborah Atta, I think she's up there somewhere. She's the person that I have the ideas, but then she's the one that really
and you really need that
down and get things in order and really help manage the team of volunteers and other things
so
that.
What happened? Give us the gossip.
What
went down? What went wrong that you were like, I'm writing everything you say down?
Well, yeah. So I think at some point, one document like that, I took my time to read well, and something wasn't going down with me well, so we had to have a discussion to sort of resolve, but it wasn't a big issue. But I see that those things can be big for some organizations, so or communities. So I think when it comes to documentation, everyone has to read everything and be sure that you really agree before maybe signing, especially if you have to sign something. Make sure you read and understand. And if you have to sign, then you sign.
Yeah.
If there's a legal term that you don't understand, maybe you have to bring on board someone who has legal understanding of stuff to explain to you, and then you may sign something like that. That's
so when you get to legal documents and things, you need to be very careful.
When it comes to the legal part, you have to be careful.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
That's what I can say.
I feel like you've probably got some somewhere. Everyone's got one. Any you want to talk about?
Maybe I can add a different dimension to the question. So for Eastern Europe right now, for example, one big issue is the war in Ukraine. And that definitely created tensions when you organize a summer school, because Eastern Europe at the moment is quite polarized. And this is not necessarily issues within the organization, but issues when you organize the event, right, between participants, and how do you manage that, and what is your stance and what you're going to do. For example, our stance was not to accept any Russians that are affiliated to Russian institutions. That's where we drew the line. But we did accept Russians that were already in Western Europe. And while I think that's a reasonable approach, because probably those people are in Western Europe for one particular reason, is that they don't want to be part of the war and they don't believe in the war, that not necessarily answers the worries from Ukrainians who have a very different view and a very strong knee-jerk reaction just seeing a Russian person in the room. And that was something that we had to navigate on the spot, and it wasn't that easy. We tried to explain our point of view, and it's the kind of thing that on both sides people lose, right? So for example, there was a Russian student that we couldn't accept to the school because of this, who was just trying to get out of the country for a few months so that he doesn't get drafted in the army. So he was desperately looking for any excuse to be outside of Russia so that he's not forced to join the army. And unfortunately, we couldn't help him. But these kind of situations happen. And it's definitely a point where you start thinking about, like, I don't think there's an easy solution, but you have to deal with them somehow. And usually you just need to take a stance and be very explicit, put it on the website, express it during the school. That's sort of what we've done, and say, like, look, this is our stance, this is what we're going to do, you know. And then in one-to-one discussions, if people are still very affected and they can't understand our stance.
Yeah, those are really complicated. It's a very, very good thing to highlight. I think the Indabas had similar things. I mean, at the end of the day, so many things are geopolitics. And part of the things that we're fighting, and the reason we're fighting them, is because of geopolitics. And so here we are, still continuing to fight geopolitics. I want to ask David, Chris, Salome, who I've lost, he's run away. Do you have any war stories about anything that's you've struggled with in the community? I'm talking about these, I'm now focusing on this question. You were the one person who put up their hand, but I think it's because it's important to highlight the other side. And we always talk about how great it is, but we don't always talk about the hardships, and they do. And what happens is when a community gets really big, things like documentation become super important, because otherwise you just lose communication. Things like, if you become a big community, you need to realize how you're interacting with smaller communities, because suddenly you're playing a game of competition for resources, for funding. So all of these things suddenly become a lot harder to manage, at least from my side. Do you want to come up? Let me stand.
All right, okay. So one of the challenges that I think we are experiencing in the community can be, the way we created the community is in a way that when you are being impacted with the knowledge, you should be able to share your knowledge with people that are coming behind you. And some people already put a lot of effort, dedicated their time, resources to ensure that the impacted is a particular patient. Let's say a population here with a knowledge of what they need to learn to be successful. But when you acquire the knowledge, you should be able to also cascade the learning to the people coming behind you. But we are having some numbers of people in the community, immediately they understood, they see the benefits of the community. Instead of them to give back to the community, they don't look back again. You understand? Maybe they got a PhD, they left the country, or they left the community, or they got the job. They don't actually want to give back to the people that are coming behind them again. So that's actually affecting the value chain. So, which is one of the things that we are doing to create we want to let them understand that giving back to the community is aspect of what they need to, is their responsibility, that they need to know, they need to learn. So us, the people that we are now bringing into the community now, we are putting that as part of the learning, part of the experience for them. Another aspect of the problem that we have been seeing in the community is not only, formally, we used to have a lead for the community, a single person that always be the lead of the community. But the work is the work is much on them, so they might not actually be active to coordinate, maybe have weekly meetup, do a lot of social media posts. But now, democratizing the activities of the community to every individual in the community so that they can see that they are actually useful in the community is actually important. Like, you be doing this for the community, so ensure that everybody in the community have a sense of belonging, irrespective of your level, so be able to, so that can actually support the communities. That's one of the challenges, like, people don't want to take responsibility at times, so actually affect the community. But immediately everybody are able to support, so the community will grow and opportunity will come and they all successful in it. Like in terms of if they want to run an hackathon like challenge, they share knowledge and they be able to win it, and they fund or anything they win, definitely is coming back to the community to support the community growth. So those are the things that I can actually just mention now.
Thank you very much, David. And I'd like a big round of applause for all of our panelists this evening. I hope you have been inspired to start some communities or join them if you haven't already. Hopefully you've learned something. Please attend all of their various workshops and talks. And now I'm going to let you be free and go have some dinner.